We are headed to BAWA today, an animal rescue organization in Bali that's doing amazing things to educate the youth about taking care of better animals into the future.
Welcome to this week's episode. We're still in Ubud enjoying our final moments in Bali before we head out after a couple months. And this week was, well, every week is very special, but this week was super special. We got a chance to spend 2 days following BAWA, which is Balinese Animal Welfare Association, on all of the amazing things that they're doing. Dogs hold a very special place in my heart. I grew up on a farm back in the Czech Republic, and I grew up pretty much with a pack of dogs. So this week is very special for me because I got to hang out with so many beautiful dogs and actually learn a lot about the challenges that they're facing in a place like Bali.
The heroine behind BAWA, Janice, created this organization over 20 years ago, and she's doing it because there is a need in Bali to take care of the dogs. Janice inspired me as a mother and as a custodian for this planet to care for all of the creatures because they're all so sacred. Every single being that comes into this planet has a deep desire to expand and to connect and to feel loved and to belong to the greater whole and to remember that they are an intrinsic part of nature. And she's so connected to that, and so just being around her and watching her do what she does reminded me of how sacred and precious every single life is, and it just makes me want to be an even better mother and a better human.
We are at a local Balinese school, ready to sit down on an educational lecture from BAWA about animal rescue and really about educating kids on what they can do about animal welfare in Bali.
So we're going in on the first education class, and BAWA does 6 education classes here a day for different age groups. All of it is in Bahasa, but fortunately today we've got Bagus over here to translate for us so we know what's going on.
It's really inspiring because as we look at the myriads of different issues that we want to get behind, we realize that the common thread is it all comes back to education, and education of the littlest people on this planet. The kids consist only of about 25% of the population of the world, but as we all know, they're the 100% of the future. And so anything that we want to resolve as a current issue has to be addressed with those who will be picking up these issues as we leave them behind. So we started by going into a class with the littlest people, and the volunteer who was leading this particular class was so incredible. He was animated, he made the whole class repeat after him. It basically became a game of education. Rather than someone standing in front of a class and talking at you, he made it into a game, and you could see the kids were getting it and they were following the lead.
So it's extra special to be here at BAWA today because Lauren and I met over 2 years ago in Seattle at a 200-hour teacher training, and now we reunite in Bali, uniting forces to do more good in the world.
The classes teach the students that animals are just like humans with feelings and needs, and they don't want to be outside on a short chain just like a human wouldn't want to be living like that. So we try and just remind them of those facts about animals, that they really are just like us and need to be cared for.
For me, there was definitely a big revelation to understand that the mistreatment of animals is not just by a select few, it's a common problem.
It's ingrained in the culture, which is why coming back to education, it's the most important thing. To hopefully these children will be educated by BAWA and then go home to their families and teach their parents that have been doing things in a particular way for most of their life that there is another way to care for these dogs. To remember that these dogs also have a soul and a spirit and desires and feelings too, and they deserve to be treated just like any human would be.
On day 2, hanging out with BAWA, we were scheduled to take a long ride to another part of the island and witness and be part of street feeding of hundreds of dogs. And I was kind of bummed because the night before, in the middle of the night, Sophie wasn't feeling too well. I was kind of running around the room, and in the dark I kicked my toe really bad. I thought I broke it. And so the next morning I sadly had to pass on the baton to wifey here. And you guys spent the day with BAWA, and I was just hanging back and taking a much needed rest.
While hubby stayed back, I headed up to Mount Agung with Janice and the BAWA team to do a massive street feed. Last year there was a pretty significant volcano eruption in Bali, in this area in Mount Agung where I visited, and this is the reason that BAWA has targeted this particular area to do these street feeds for the dogs. The entire villages around the area were evacuated and moved down the mountain to a safe zone, and they didn't have the time or the resources to gather all their things, let alone to gather their dogs. So there are hundreds of dogs that have been left behind up in the hills of Mount Agung, and BAWA takes a trek up there every single day to feed over 250 dogs.
We're here with Janice, the founder and fearless leader of BAWA, and we are about to witness a street feed, which they do every single day. They've done it for the past 7 months here in Mount Agung to take care of all the dogs in need. So a meal a day for over 250 dogs.
Yeah, and some we feed double or triple portions if they're large dogs, and it's a big undertaking. The dogs get left behind, and we go and we have to deliver food and water. Even if people have gone home, they've lost their own livelihoods. They can't afford to feed themselves, let alone feed dogs. And so it's a humbling experience being up there, and you realize how much you take for granted in life because these people have lost pretty much everything. The worm tablets will help really a lot. There you go. There you go.
I feel the real sacredness of the service work that is being done here. The real sacredness of life in general, that
the importance of recognizing that there are people who don't understand, who are acting in a way that might seem malicious and mean, is just because they don't know any better. And so to educate and to remind people that life is sacred and that every being deserves food and care and to be loved is the most important practice. And Janice and BAWA are doing an incredible job to take care of beings in Bali that have been forgotten. Getting in this Jeep with the BAWA team, we headed up into the mountains, into quite remote villages that you can only get to with a four-wheel drive. And the way it worked is we would trek up these hills and windy roads, and we'd see some dogs along the side of the road, stop the car. Janice gets out with these little packages of rice and dog food, and this repeated over and over again. We would stop at another place, honk the horn, and all these dogs would come out of the jungle, out of the trees, just knowing that BAWA was there to feed them, because they do this every single day.
There's about 8 dogs up there. The trick is spacing out the food so they don't fight over it, and having it ready and going quickly. They're getting used to being fed now, so they're not as starving, although those two are pretty hungry.
So we've had to stop the car and walk to get to the next village because the roads are not drivable, and the people who live here have very few means to get supplies and let alone take care of themselves or the dogs. So we're on foot right now walking to the next village to go take care of the dogs.
Some say I'm living in the moment. I say motion, I ain't got no potion, but we can touch the sky.
We're hiking across bamboo bridges and up the side of the mountain, and Janice is wearing some heels.
Ta-da!
But talk about service with style.
Yeah.
I mean,
A true superwoman.
Made was saying that down this way there are easily a few hundred more dogs that are expecting now to be fed, that they now understand that BAWA comes and feeds them. And the ducks come out too, and the chickens, and they're really feeding the whole animal tribe of Mount Agung. What I realized up there is that these are not mean people or nasty people who have abandoned their dogs and are mistreating them. It's about people who are just trying to survive. They don't have the means to feed themselves right now or care for themselves, let alone to care for their dogs. So they're just doing what they can. In seeing this, my judgments just went out the window about how I perceived the people in this area, and just was able to relate to them on a heart-to-heart level and understand that they're just doing whatever they can to exist. What BAWA needs right now more than anything is pretty simple. They only need more food to feed the dogs, simple dry food, and also finances and resources for veterinary care. So this organization is based on donations, and they are doing everything they can, hitting this problem head on from the ground, from different angles, from education, from action, from all kinds of service. They are truly an example of selfless service, of giving from the heart and exemplifying what kind of change they want to see in the world. So if you feel moved by this cause and want to help out in the smallest way possible or in a really large, significant way, click the link below, check it out, and do what you can to support. And to Janice, thank you for your massive heart, for doing the work that you're doing for all the animals of Bali, large and small. Thank you for taking in 25 dogs into your own home and loving them up and loving up all the animals of this beautiful island that we also call home. We appreciate you, we love you, and we are here to support you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Hey love, you got your heart on your sleeve, but the shirt on your back's a bit small. Hey, yeah, your colors are changing.